The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Hello to all my lovely listeners out there. This is the McGee Uncensored Podcast with your host, McGee. Dating sites. I don't like them. I hate them. I gave them up. How about you? I've decided recently, within the last month or so, to just abandon the dating sites online. I've picked up a couple apps on my phone and I'm giving a shot on to see how that goes. And so far, not terrible. But I'm swearing off dating sites like Plenty of Fish, OkCupid, the free ones. I was never going to pay to meet somebody. I found that a lot ridiculous, actually. I find paying sites are a complete ripoff. I know that it's a way to weed out weirdos, but you're still probably going to get weirdos on free sites and pay sites, so it doesn't really matter. The thing that I started to notice is when I was on free sites such as Plenty of Fish, I would do an honest attempt. That's one thing. I'm honest with my attempt on these sites. And I would give a couple months. I think it's fair. Because the area that I live in and around and search-wise for the site, not a lot of options. So I'll give it a couple months to see if things build up or before I decide if it's worth continuing. Now, I can't remember exactly when I initially signed up for Plenty of Fish. It was a handful of years ago. I think when the site first came out, I was either in grad school or I was just finished up with college. So it was a handful of years ago. And I gave it a shot. And nothing really came out of it at that time. I messaged all the ones that I was interested in. And whether I got replies or not, it doesn't matter. But things just didn't materialize. I never met a person when I first started out. And I still haven't met a person from these sites, any of these sites. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to give it up, among a few other reasons I'll get into. What I had noticed is I would keep my profile. I may have deleted it, gave it up for a while, but I would keep my profile and then the option of hiding it, and I'd update it every once in a while, and I'd give it another honest attempt and see what was out there, and really nothing. The one thing I noticed was people, or some women profiles who have been on Plenty of Fish. I know that for sure. Plenty of Fish for at least 5 years. I know I'm dating myself and I'm making myself seem like I'm desperate being on these sites for 5 years, or longer, but it's the truth. And I'm thinking to myself, why are they still on here? By now, I would have given up. Or didn't they find somebody? I found that kind of odd. And majority of them I really had no similar interest or no interest in. Especially if they've been on these sites that long. It makes me wonder what the problem is. Now, this is coming from a guy who has never had a relationship in his life. And I'm okay with it because I'm going to tell you something. I've never had a problem being lonely. I like being alone. There's a difference. I have ran into women in conversations, and some of them will straight out tell you that they have a problem being lonely. And that raises a red flag because you know that they've probably been in a bunch of relationships and that they just want to be in a relationship and don't matter who they're in one with because they don't like being lonely. Well, I'm not going to waste my time and I don't say emotion, but my time on people like that. They need to be fine with themselves first. Let me clear something up. I think I may have misspoken. I don't have a problem being lonely. I just don't like being alone or something like that. I don't know. I could be wrong again. I have no idea. But there's a quote within there somewhere that I know that I'm okay with. Anyway, back to those sites. I'd run into profiles and that wide message, and I just wondered how serious some people were about it. It's not like I need you to log in every day, but if you're interested and if you are serious, return a message to let me know that, okay, we could carry on a dialogue here and see where things lead to. I do my best at not trying to turn it into an interview process. And I do not like being asked, what do you like to do for fun? To say I don't know how to answer that, it would be incorrect. But I know I go about my day doing what I like to do or what I find fun. If reading a book, I want to do that, I'll read that. Reading articles of interest online, I'll do that. Putting a playlist together, I'll do that. I think I'd rather show a person what I like to do for fun instead of trying to explain to them what I like to do for fun. I like doing this for fun, my podcast. I got tired of the whole dating site process for a couple reasons. One, the lack of options around here when I would do a search within about 20 miles. I think it's fair. Not much really pops up. I don't want to sound rude or anything, but too many single mothers on the sites. It just seems that is... I met up with one girl, and it was a spur-of-the-moment type of deal. And we met at a local place in the area for drinks, and she had a kid, but I was like, she seems okay, nothing wrong with making friends. But the ensuing conversations that we had after we met, like we only met once, and that was it, and that was months and months ago, almost a year ago, really. It just, her kid, so when she's not working, she's taking care of her kid, putting her kid to bed early. So her availability, became an issue. I really wasn't, like I said, I really wasn't that interested, but I wouldn't mind hanging out. There's a different, I wouldn't mind hanging out, somebody to hang out with, talk with, BS with. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think that it does become an issue. I don't hate kids, don't get me wrong, but if I'm trying to get to know somebody, how am I going to be able to get to know a woman if, she has her kid to take care of all the time and she doesn't have the time to form a relationship? I really I don't talk to a lot of single moms. And some single moms I do see out, I go, where's your kid? But way too many of them on Plenty of Fish. It seems like every profile is just going down. I would read it. I would actually read profiles so I could have something to talk to them about. And it would be, kids, plural, and they're 22 and they have 3 kids. And I go, Jesus, so another reason was a lot of women didn't seem open to the idea of getting out of their comfort zone. Maybe some of them are bad at having a conversation online. And that's kind of hard to believe because it seems like the majority of women are always on their phone texting. So I don't buy that. It got to a point where I was getting tired of carrying on a same conversation but with different women. How's it go? Like simple, generic, how's it going? And then what do you do? And then, like I said, like an interview process. But I got tired of talking about myself to different women all the time and then just getting to a certain point and then nothing coming out of it, which is fine, but it always would just end the same. And nobody likes that. It was starting to become too obvious. I just felt a lot of resistance too on their part. I mean, I wasn't pushy or anything, but any reasonable person would, at some point during the conversation that it's reached like the pinnacle, and ask, so do you want to meet up? And then I don't get an answer, but I'll just take that as a no. And I don't ask that to all women. You have to be selective. Everybody should be a little bit selective. And let's face it, we all are a little bit shallow. But if I'm asking, that's a big step for me. That's a big thing. Hey, I want to meet up. Let's hang out. See where this is in person, if there's something there. The dating site wasn't a hobby for me. And I don't know if it's a hobby for women or not, but I tell people, if you're not in it wholeheartedly, if you're not in it giving a real attempt, an honest attempt at it, to trying to see what's out there, then don't bother. Don't waste other people's time. Don't lead them on. Don't give them false hope. Don't carry on a conversation. I like to consider myself an open-minded individual. And through my eyes, I don't see the dating process or getting to know people or just meeting people in general a difficult thing to do. If everybody would just take the approach of I'm just going to strike up a conversation with somebody here, and if they're weird, I'll make a run for it. But if they're all right, I'll stay a little bit and then see what goes on. But I'm not out there, for me personally, I'm not out there to play a game. I'm not out there to play games at all. I'd like to think that, the majority of the women that I do carry on a conversation with are adults. If anything does happen, like consenting adults. One thing that I'm hesitant about is messaging somebody, whether it being a dating line or on a social media site or something, and them either screenshotting it or going and talking to their friends, hey, McGee messaged me, and then I can't control that. I can't say that has happened. I don't know. But I'm not telling my friends, well, so-and-so messaged me, and get opinions and whatnot. Like, I'm seeking out privately a conversation, and that's it. I'm not going to get weird about anything if I see the person in person, and I'm just going to go, all right, I want to treat everything like nothing happened, because I'm okay with it. It's not that big of a deal, because we weren't at a point to where feelings really got involved, and I'm able to control those. A major reason why I started a podcast is to talk about certain points in my life or experiences, and like I said, be open and honest about things without naming names. Because, well, to be honest, I know that's the majority of people. If I do name them, it's not bashing them, and I know that they're probably not listening in the first place. But as it relates to this topic, I was hanging out with a girl. This is years ago. I was hanging out with a girl, and things were fine. I necessarily wasn't thinking relationship, but we had fun. But it was at the point where I slept on a couch and stood up in her room. Not that I was looking for anything to happen, but that just was weird, because she got weird about it. And I decided I'm not going to deal with this. I without getting into a long story, too much has happened in my life to have to deal with unstable, I guess you could say. I think that's a proper term to place here. It wasn't like we had a fight or anything, but I was just thinking to myself, I don't deserve this. This isn't for me. We had our fun. It was fun. And that was it. But, when I would see the person, I still would say, hey, how's it going? It's not a big deal to me anymore. It's those types of situations that I want to avoid. I mean, I guess she wanted more than I did, but it was explained. I'd explained, like, it's probably not going to go anywhere, so let's just have our fun. And if I'm talking to one woman. I'm talking to one woman at a time. I'm not talking to one, and then, well, there's another one, and another, I'm not messaging. If I'm committing myself to one woman, a conversation with one woman, that's how I am. I can't say that I've had that respect given to me to where I'm the only guy that she's, talking to. All I need is just, like I said, open, honest line of communication. When there's a breakdown in communication, that's when problems arise. And that's what ends any type of relationship, friendship, or date, anything, is when there's a breakdown in communication. You have to be able to communicate with one another. Now, these dating sites were just an experience I really learned nothing from. It was neither bad nor a good thing that I did it. It really came down to, it was a waste of time. Yeah, I guess I do sometimes think to myself, what was I thinking? Why did I take the time to create a profile and just go through with it when I shouldn't have? I should have just, when I got my podcast equipment, I should have just done a lot more with that. It's fine. I'm not here on this episode to say, well, this is what I'm looking for and this is what I like to find. No, not at all. Not one bit. Through my experience, I know what I'm not looking for is another site to sign up on. I've always been careful. I'm not stupid to have unprotected sex with a woman, and there's no way I'm ready to support a child. I'm not ready for marriage at the moment. I don't have a relationship to be ready for a marriage, so you rule that out. And my big question is, what is wrong with anybody just going out and just meeting people? Like I said, the bar scene around here sucks. It really does, because the element that goes to bars anymore, it's not as fun as 5-10 years ago. And I'm not that old. I'm 33. But if there's no options online, there's even less options when you get to the bar, because it's just a bunch of guys, because the girls don't come out. I don't know where they are. Probably they're all single moms at home. I have no idea. All the good ones got out of here. I mean, I stuck around for reasons that, I may get into one day, but nothing bad. I just want to experience more. I just want to find and knowing that there's more out there. That's what I want to know. I want to know that there's more out there. The sense I get in some conversations that I have is women, not all, but some, they are looking for a relationship, committed relationship right away, as soon as they start talking to you. It's like that's what they're looking for, instead of making friends first and then getting into a relationship, then possibly marriage. Some want relationship, marriage within a year. I don't operate that way. I don't. I think the more you grow as individuals and as a couple, the better. Just another reason why I just got off that site. It wasn't giving a ring out. I don't really like to talk about myself that much, but I know I'm not a terrible person. I'm not a terrible guy. I'm not. I'm pretty easygoing, open-minded. I can't help sometimes who I'm attracted to, because it could be dangerous. And I believe that for everybody. I don't believe you can, like, when you're attracted to somebody physically, I think you can't control that. You just can't. And my mind, and like, there's a stubbornness to my mindset or something that, I have to seek out what's there, and either something, or I'm gonna be let, or not. I'm not gonna be let down. Well, I'll be let down a little bit, but it's knowing that, all right, time to move on, and never say never, because you don't know what's going to happen. I'm just changing my approach. I'm not going to do those sites no more. Like I said, I'm just not. I have a lot of friends on Facebook, a lot of single ones. We are strangers, because like I say, anybody accepts friend requests nowadays. But I'm going to message and see what's up, try to carry on a conversation for those that I may be interested in, and see where things go. It's not too much to ask. And if things develop, great. If they don't, fair enough. I took the shot. Like recently, I just to see what happens. Just sometimes I do that. I just like to see what happens. I messaged a woman. I was corresponding with her for a while, and recently I was like, well, hey, are you up for ever hanging out some point? And her response was not at the moment. She's really busy, and instinctively, I think, well, that's an excuse. You could just say, well, I'm not interested in you. I'd rather hear that. I'd rather hear that, because then, boom, everything shuts off, and I'm fine with it. It's all good. And then I can move on. But if you're giving anybody, and this is in general, if you're not direct and you're not telling a person, you don't have to be mean about it. You don't have to be mean about it. I don't need to be let down softly. Just let me down. If you're not being honest with yourself and with them, that's not fair. Just say, you know what, I just don't think that there's anything there. I'm not going to look to pursue anything. If you're good with words, you'll be good at letting the person down without giving too much bullshit to them. Me, I'll be honest, I'm kind of clueless. I could be probably talking to a girl and she could be really into me, but I don't know that she's really into me. Like, I don't know if I'm missing signals or not. Like, I need them to be deliberately saying, hey, this is what I want to do, let's do it, or whatever. Yes, that's fine with me. I could be aggressive, so to speak, but it's in the manner of how I go about doing it. I don't want to go and be, I don't want to be too strong with things. And like I said, I realized that, I am better and I'm too good for those sites. I really am, because I know that I'm not taking it as a joke, and that in a way, I should have never done it, because I said nothing really came out of it. Really was an absolute, complete waste of my time. I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to stay off, hopefully forever. I really do. The reoccurring thought that's been going on in my mind is, if only I had more options. So I know that I've spanned across the board and exhausted them all. And I also kept thinking, well, maybe relocation will help. But I shouldn't just base my relocation on, potential soulmate or whatever. But there's so much out there. I'm content, though. I am. Happiness is a choice, I guess, right? That's what they say. Choose it every day. But I'm content. I don't want to say I'm happy, but I'm content right now with how things are. Yeah, sometimes I said a little frustration sets in. I can't help it that I'm more open-minded than others. I can't help it that I am seeking out possibilities. I can't help it that I'm trying to do it the right way, the way I want to do it. This isn't a desperate plea at all. Not at all. I don't like the hassle, that's for sure. I want to save some stuff for later episodes. I got to pick this up a little bit more for my listeners out there. I want to end it. You can end this episode tonight. You can follow me on Twitter at McGee Uncensored. For those of you who like wrestling, you could follow me on Twitter also at McGee Full Nelson. My Instagram is McGee Uncensored. Do I have anything else? Snapchat, McGee Uncensored. You can listen to this at SoundCloud.com. SoundCloud.com/McGee Uncensored. My YouTube channel has a lot more content. Look for the third video to the Matt Purdy trilogy that I've been working on. That's going to be a lot of fun. So this is McGee saying good night, good day, later.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.